In the beginning, before Rome crowned emperors, before legions marched beneath the golden standards of conquest, before marble temples rose toward the heavens, there was a city of hills and stone huts, of shepherds and warriors, a place still shaping itself from the clay of myth and memory. Rome was young then, not yet an empire, not yet a republic, but a kingdom ruled by kings said to be touched by the gods. And when those kings ruled, they did not rule alone, for beside them there sat a council, wise elders, noble-born men, leaders of clans and bloodlines rooted deep into the earth of Latium. They were called the Senatus, the council of old men, the Senate. And though kings would fall and dictators would rise, and emperors would claim divine right to rule, the Senate would remain, changing, evolving, surviving through centuries of triumph and turmoil. To understand Rome is to understand the Senate, for it was not merely a governing body, but a beating heart that pumped political life through the veins of the Republic and Empire alike. The Senate's power began simply as a council of advisors. In the age of kings, the Senate advised the ruler, offering wisdom, judgment, tradition, and legitimacy. They were the voices of the oldest families, the patricians, those who traced their origins back to the founding of Rome itself. When Romulus, the legendary founder, selected 100 men to guide him, he called them patres, fathers of the Roman state. Their descendants would form the ruling class that held influence not through the sword, but through ancestry, reputation, and the weight of their name. And even when the monarchy fell, when the last king, Tarquin the Proud, was cast out for his cruelty and arrogance, the Senate did not disappear, it endured. For it was not one man who shaped Rome, but many. The fall of the monarchy brought forth a new era, the Roman Republic. Power no longer rested in the hands of one ruler, but was shared among magistrates and guided by the Senate. This was a system designed not to prevent chaos, but to prevent tyranny. The Romans, having tasted the bitterness of kings, vowed never again to kneel before a single ruler. And so, they created a balance of power. 2 consuls, elected yearly, commanding the armies and directing the state, but always watched, always checked, always restrained by the Senate. The Senate was the guardian of tradition, the keeper of memory, the institution that remembered lessons learned in blood. Its voice was not the law, but it was the law's shadow, its foundation, and its echo. But who were these men who shaped Rome? Senators were not chosen lightly. They were men of noble lineage, wealth, and reputation. To enter the Senate was to join the ranks of Rome's most respected citizens, to become a custodian of the state's future. Yet the Senate was not merely a place of quiet deliberation. It was a battleground of ambition. Senators competed not with swords, but with words, alliances, favors, and influence. To be a senator was to live in a world where power flowed through relationships, who you supported, who you opposed, who you indebted, and who you shamed. Every gesture had meaning. Every speech was a performance. Every decision rippled outward through the Republic. The Senate met in the Curia, a great hall within the Forum, Rome's political heart. When senators gathered, they wore the toga, a garment of heavy white wool, draped carefully to display dignity and discipline. A purple stripe, the latus clavus, signified their rank. They entered with solemnity, but once inside, the air was rarely calm. Voices rose, arms gestured, words cut deeper than blades. For the Senate was not a place of agreement. It was a place of struggle. The struggle to determine Rome's destiny. The Senate controlled finances, directing the treasure of the state. They oversaw foreign diplomacy, sending ambassadors and receiving envoys. They managed public lands, commanded the building of roads, aqueducts, bridges, and temples. Most importantly, they authorized war. Rome did not march to battle without the Senate's approval, and when victories returned, it was the Senate that bestowed triumphs upon generals, allowing them to ride through Rome in glory, wearing a crown of laurel, celebrated as heroes. The Senate defined what Rome honored and what it condemned. Yet the Senate was not perfect. It was not designed to represent the common citizen. It was a world of patricians, the wealthy, the elite, the ancient families of Rome. But Rome was growing, swelling with farmers, traders, laborers, soldiers. The plebeians, the ordinary people, demanded a voice. And so conflict erupted, a struggle known as the conflict of the orders, a long, bitter contest between the ruling elite and the common citizen. The plebeians withdrew from the city, refusing to fight in Rome's armies unless they received rights and representation. Rome needed its soldiers, and so the patricians negotiated. The result? The creation of the tribunes of the plebs, officials empowered to protect ordinary citizens from abuses of magistrates, and even to veto laws. This changed everything. The Senate now had competition. The tribunes could stand in the forum and shout veto, and the entire machinery of the state halted. The Senate could debate and plan, but one man with the tribune's power could stop them. Politics became not merely debate, but maneuver, persuasion, manipulation. Alliances formed between senators and tribunes, between wealthy plebeians and ambitious patricians. The Republic became a dance of factions. Some senators rose above others, not by force, but by charisma, intelligence, and the art of rhetoric. Among them stood figures whose names would echo across history. Cato the Elder, stern defender of tradition; Scipio Africanus, conqueror of Hannibal; the Gracchus brothers, reformers who sought to give land back to the poor and who paid with their lives; Marius, a general who opened the army to the masses; Sulla, who marched on Rome and painted the streets in blood. The Senate was witness to all of this, shaped by it, shaken by it, forever changed by it. And then came Julius Caesar. Caesar was no ordinary senator. He was a man of vision, ambition, brilliance, and audacity. He won glory in Gaul, commanded the loyalty of legions, and understood better than any man before him how to sway the Roman people. He was loved and feared. When he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, defying the Senate's orders, civil war erupted. The Senate split. Friends became enemies. General fought general. Rome trembled. And when Caesar emerged victorious, the Senate was forced to confront a reality they had sworn never to allow. One man holding supreme power. They named him dictator for life. And yet, in the Senate chamber, beneath the towering statues of Rome's ancestors, as Caesar sat upon his golden chair, the Senate acted. On the Ides of March, in the year 44 BCE, they rose with daggers. Men who had feasted with him, debated with him, learned from him, struck. Caesar fell at the feet of Pompey's statue, his blood darkening the floor. The Senate believed they had saved the Republic. They were wrong. Caesar's death unleashed chaos. Civil war ignited once more. Generals clashed. Alliances shifted like sand in the wind. And from that storm emerged Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, soon to be known as Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Augustus was cunning. He understood what Caesar did not. Rome did not want to lose the Senate. They wanted to believe it still ruled. Augustus preserved the Senate. He honored it. He praised its wisdom. He asked for its advice. He pretended to serve it. But all true power flowed through him. And the Senate, weary of bloodshed, accepted this new order. The Republic died not with a scream, but with applause. Yet the Senate lived on. It continued to meet, to debate, to advise. It became the stage upon which emperors performed their power. Some emperors feared the Senate, others ignored it, and some, such as Caligula and Nero, mocked it openly. But the Senate endured because Rome believed in tradition. Though no longer supreme, it remained a mark of prestige, a symbol of ancient authority. As centuries passed, the Senate changed. Under the empire, senators were chosen not only from Rome, but from across the provinces: Gaul, Hispania, Africa, Greece. The Senate became more diverse, more symbolic, a council of honor rather than governance. Yet its legacy never faded. Even when Rome divided into East and West, even when barbarians breached the gates, the Senate still met within its walls, performing rituals of memory and identity long after its political power had withered. When the Western Roman Empire finally fell, the Senate remained in Rome, a ghost of former glory. And for nearly 1,000 years more, the Eastern Roman Senate survived in Constantinople, a flickering ember of a world that had once ruled the known earth. So what was the Senate? It was the voice of tradition, the memory of ancestors, the arena of ambition, the forge where Rome's destiny was shaped. It was powerful, flawed, noble, ruthless, visionary, stubborn, brilliant, and deeply human. Empires rise, empires fall, cities crumble, flags burn, languages fade. But the idea of the Senate, the idea of governance through council, through debate, through law rather than tyranny, endures. The Senate was Rome's greatest invention and its greatest warning. For power does not disappear, it only changes hands.